Okay, my name is Jose Calderon. I'm an emeritus professor in sociology and Chicano and Chicana, Latino and Latina studies at Pitzer College. Well, sociology to me is really about social change. I'm one who historically came out of social movements. I was born in Mexico and came at an early age as an immigrant, didn't know a word in English, and thanks to a teacher who taught me how to speak English, I was able then to eventually graduate from high school, go to a junior college, then the University of Colorado, and because of my early history as an immigrant, as having parents who were farm workers all their lives and didn't know a word in English, I caught a bus and went to work with Cesar Chavez of the United Farm Workers, which changed my life. And then for 14 years, I was literally an organizer in my community before going and getting a PhD in sociology. And I have to relate that history because the foundations of all my research, my writing, my speaking, and my organizing historically have been related to the experiences that I went through. And I really wanted to do something about that. My parents literally worked all their lives in the fields, literally had nothing when they passed away, didn't even know English, and I wanted to change the conditions for my community. So that led me to sociology, because sociology to me was more than just theorizing, more than just gathering research, but sociology is really about taking those theories, taking that research, and then changing our communities. And as part of that then, I saw the need to figure out how do we develop a more democratic society where people do have a voice. So I started in the classroom with creating democratic spaces where everyone in the classroom had a voice. That's been the history of my classes. And then how to do that in our communities where individuals and groups have been historically marginalized, also have a voice, and then together we work together not only on research, and that's to me community-based research that really serves the community, does not just take from the community and results in books or promotions, but really gives back to the community in terms of changing their conditions of whether it's poverty, whether it's quality of life, whether it's immigration, basic rights issues, both civil and human rights. How do we together then, with our research and with our teaching, and then our organizing together, change those conditions which have historically oppressed them or hurt them? That to me is sociology, really putting into practice what theory is all about, and the creation of a vision of a future that is more equal and more just. Well, I still teach a class called Rural and Urban Social Movements. I've taught classes for quite a long time where I take students to actually live and work with the farm workers, and they not only help in terms of service projects, but we also take up the issues that farm workers have been working on. So for example, a couple of years ago, we studied how methyl iodide really affected farm workers. We led a demonstration in Bakersfield against methyl iodide, and with the efforts of the farm workers, we were eventually able to be part of an effort that banned methyl iodide throughout the country. That to me is an example of where we connect the classroom in terms of learning about the environment and how pesticides hurt our community, and then going and doing something about it together with our community, where we organize and where we eventually create policy. So to me that then is really using sociology and how our communities are oppressed to change the conditions which oppress them. I think one of the biggest highlights for me is a good professor, like a good leader, builds future professors and future leaders and future individuals who are ethical in terms of their research to ensure that the kind of research they carry out is one that serves the communities that they're working in, and that also fulfills some of the ethical aspects that the academia requires. But more than that, in terms of the ethics and application and using of research and teaching, it is about developing communities of people and students and faculty who really see that they have a role to play in this society about changing the conditions that they are teaching about. And the highlight for me historically has been that I think I've been part of through programs like the Minority Fellowship Program. I was an early beginner of the Minority Opportunity School Transformation Program. There are dozens and dozens now of those who were our students and now our scholars who are creating democratic classrooms, creating democracy in the work that they're doing in their communities, and using their research, teaching, and pedagogy to really serve the communities. Right now, I have one of my former students who is the Senate Pro Tem, probably the most powerful Latino in the state of California, Kevin De Leon, who to me is an example of someone who took what he learned in the classroom and moved all the way to the level of having this high position. We recently worked together on a bill that now is creating a pipeline in the high schools and in the colleges to help students, especially those who are low income, the students that are people of color, to be able to prepare them for college, and also to make sure that when they get into college, that there is a strong follow-up to ensure that they graduate. We Latinos, for example, are now one of the largest minority groups in our colleges, 23%. Well, no, we're the largest, but only 23% of us graduate. So between freshman and senior, something is happening. His bill provides $4 million to high schools and to open up the UC system, the college system, and at the same time to follow up on these students to ensure that they graduate. To me, that's an example, and that's a highlight, to be able to have individuals like Kevin De Leon now who have taken what they learned in undergraduate and made it part of a lifelong commitment to create social change, which is what I continue to do. And I think that certainly is the highlight, to see those scholars, those community organizers, those individuals in positions that are using their lives and their skills and abilities to create a better world.
Perfect.
Well, what I tell the students that is most important is to use whatever they are learning. I really, truly, when I started in graduate school, was not that great of a writer. And graduate school really helped me to learn to write. I also read a book when I was working on my dissertation, How to Complete and Survive the PhD. And this book was not about the mechanics. There are a lot of books on mechanics. But this was really more a book about how that being or getting a doctorate or expanding our capacities and abilities to learn is such a wonderful thing. And to be able to grasp that, but that along the way there are going to be obstacles, and that we all have the capacity, the highest capacity. Einstein once said that we are all born geniuses. And I have that belief, and I think it's important for other professors and those who are teaching or working in communities to have that belief. And the question is then, which I bring forward to students, is how do we use the fullest of our capacities and abilities in life? And often, especially in our underrepresented communities, working on a PhD or going to grad, it seems out of the question. And how do we bring that down? And I've learned over the years that a student who really is disciplined, who has a goal in life, who it's more than short term. It's a long-term commitment to communities that that commitment will get you through. But as a part of it, I mentioned this book, being able to organize one's life so that there is a balance. So, and I really mean a balance in terms of things like physical development, taking care of your health, which is most important. I run every other day. I learned that in graduate school, that we have, it lowers stress. How we eat, making sure we have time for family, as well as for then reading, writing, and research. There has to be that balance. And unfortunately, what sometimes happens when we get into graduate school or even as professors, our job becomes everything. And we forget about family, about taking care of our health, or often we even forget about the real foundation of what community is all about. And we say in Spanish, community is really about developing familia, developing a support system, not only for ourselves, but a support system for others, especially those who are the most needy. And to me, that is the most important aspect of your question.